Alright, it's time for the introductions, guys. Here, in the bottom left-hand corner, on Glittering Ashes, it's our very own Alpha X player, hailing from Korea. It is Classic. His opponent in the red, from KZ Gaming, the Chinese prodigy. Oh, you guys know him very well. It is time. Alright. Again, I just want to keep on apologizing for the delay. 20 minutes delay on the start of this stream. But I'm sure, guys, this is gonna be worth the wait. It's gonna be a great series. And I can't wait to see how these guys will perform. A Gateway expand on the side of Classic, and a very standard Marine expand on the side of Time. Of course, first structure that actually develops tech is going to be the most interesting one. Soon after this Cyber Core is finished, we will have our answer. Few guesses already prompts me to believe it's going to be just an average Blink Stalker play. This probe is in trouble. It's a very fast guy. He will get away from there. Oh yeah. Talk about a good start, am I right? Ooh. Alright. Proxy Factory it is, guys. Proxy Factory. Maybe for aliens, and again a proxy starport soon after this one is finished. Just immediately close to it. Will be a very interesting choice. And to be completely honest with you guys, like, doing this in the first game of a best of 7, that can really catch your opponent off guard. You see a very average Twilight Console opener over here. It's going to be for Blink Stalkers for sure. We can see the starport starting immediately after. It's going to be Hellions in a Medivac, ready to cause some chaos on Classic's mineral lines. You see the first Stalker actually trying to get a little bit of information about what is going on. Check the worker count, check the bunker, the number of Marines, stuff such as that, to gain tiny bits of information. But honestly, this is the biggest bit of information you could possibly get. And the strength of this is going to hit so much sooner than Blink is even remotely done. This is a very, very game-ending kind of harassment, at least in potential. Of course, executing it is a whole different matter, but it can be very deadly. Let's see, it's the 3 aliens, enough to one-shot a probe, and the Medivac has made its way into the main base. Unchecked, uncontested, unscouted. These aliens getting ready. Oh boy. Dealing some damage. One Blink Stalker is going to be warped in, but it's already 7 plus 9 and counting. This is, again, as I was saying, the game-ending potential of these aliens is just outstanding. 12 probes killed in the early game. And that, well, that is a lot of damage. You can see Classic staying at 29 workers. Of course, this is Protoss. Protoss can remake a lot of workers very fast. These aliens, of course, are gonna sacrifice to get a little bit more damage, and actually, they're getting much more than I was thinking. 4 more probes falling for Classic. And you know what they say, in the early game, losing workers hurts you much more than losing them in the late game. And that's a lot of dead workers. Classic needs to do something about it. Of course, there's a bunker here in the natural. Really complicated. to break through the main entrance. No observer to blink into the main. So many Marines already. 4-time classic. Can't do more than just trying to get a couple free trades using the blink upgrade. But it's so keen winning these early trades and lowering the army count of time before you can do anything too scary. A robotics facility incoming for classic. It needs big units right about now to be able to deflect. The incoming push, of course. Alright, Observer is out. These Blink Stalkers can get a blink into the main. They're just getting trades with the Marines. Again, forcing a steam, forcing a little bit of energy out of these medevacs. And lowering that army count. Classic might be in a little bit of a pickle. But of course, this game is far from over yet. First shield battery being made over here at the third base. Shield battery overcharge is going to be massive once this attack is going to hit. Concussive shells just being completed, as well as infantry weapons +1. Extended thermal lance still a long way from being finished. These Colossi will not hurt as much as they could. And I think Classic might not have enough to defend over here. Time steaming forward, catching the Colossus before he can do any real damage. And it's just the Stalkers now. A lot of steams being used by Time. These are very bruised army units. A Classic army is not that strong either. It's 10 more pros falling down, being pulled into the fight. It's 14. Another Colossus is out. The rest of the army of Time will collapse on top of it. And it's going to be a GG. Time. Let's game number 1 of the series. Well, someone was stating Classic still a big favorite in this series. It's not that easy, especially in the best of 7. Preparation can often be such a huge factor, and you've seen how Time has prepared something for Classic in that first game of the series, getting a quick and easy win. Even though his push wasn't like the strongest ever, it was just too much damage caused on Classic by the alien drop. And honestly, it was all that Time needed. What is Classic up to? I don't see a second pylon in his base. I see a second pylon over here. Huh. Could be lots of stuff. Music is getting tense. StarCraft knows something is about to happen. I would love to see a Stargate, and it is a Stargate because of the it's very close to getting to the natural with an Oracle, and it's bound to hit so soon that you're probably never going to have enough defenses for this. Time is a Marine player. He often starts with a lot of Marines. Doesn't really give too much attention to Widow Mines and aliens, even though the last game he did. And he often plays very carefully in the early game. But that doesn't mean that one Oracle this close to natural and the third can deal outstanding amounts of damage. And don't let me start it on 2 Oracles. That is going to get a very good amount of scouting information, actually seeing the second racks being started and the slightly delayed starport. No early Viking will still mean something. One Marine falls down. Classic is First Oracle out. He's going to try and deal some damage as soon as possible. There's a Void Ray coming as well. Classic not really trying to take control of the natural of time for some kind of Void Ray shield battery pushes. But oh my. This Oracle is actually gonna do some things, guys. Killing 2 Marines, 2 SCVs as well, and flying the heck out of there. That's not too bad at all. Of course, it's the Void Rays that are going to start to add up and become much scarier than one single Oracle is. Damage adds up. These guys are very fast now. You cannot outrun them easily. And that poor SCV is going to fall uncontested. Time actually sacking his natural. And honestly, it's probably for the best. Losing a little bit of mining time, much better than losing more workers this early into the game. Classic with a little bit of a push over here, trying to probably get the attention away from the main to send the Oracle in once more. That's exactly what he does. Pulsar Beam gets activated and 2 more workers are going to fall down while this Oracle stays alive. Classic robotics facility, robotics base, transition at the ready with Total Console Forge, getting pretty much every single piece of tech. It's going to be complicated to keep a hold of these proxy in the bottom right. This Oracle has 7 kills right now. Like, the payoff of this target is huge. Meanwhile, with a little bit of a drop time, he's going to kill a couple probes. The Army of Classic was a little bit out of position, but time just doesn't really have enough to break through right now. Having lost a lot of his units, we try and defend as clean as possible, still getting 4 probes killed. Honestly, with the amount of units he has, that's quite good. Standard Thermal Lance not being started yet. Classic, a little bit starved on minerals so far. And time wants to do something. Oh, killing this Spartan might actually be huge. And yeah, his upgrade is gonna stay like that for a while. And you might think like 10-15 seconds, like it's not that good, but it actually is that big a factor. Especially with infantry weapons coming in clutch and time preparing for a push. That infantry weapon, that ground weapons +1 might not be ready for when time gets in the natural of classic, or it might be ready just soon after, which will mean that the first few volleys from each unit will deal much less damage. And let's remember, these zealots do not have charge. These Colossi do not have Standard Thermal Lance, but these Oracle, oh man. Kills are adding up. That's a lot of damage. Meanwhile, time with a drop over here in the main and one in the natural is going to cause quite a ruckus himself. But these units are not very easily killed before the Medivacs collect them and get out of there. It's going to be blow for blow. Time trying to do its best with the army he has, and honestly is doing quite a marvelous job at it. We don't mind killing so many probes left and right. Extended Thermal Lance almost finished, and stopping that upgrade was such a huge factor. Right now Classic caught off guard. He needs to use the recall to save as many probes as possible, but 6 of them are going to immediately fall, and this Colossus was not in a bad spot either. Second Colossus falls as well. Meanwhile, time with a lot of units at the third base of Classic, and honestly this is not looking, oh my goodness, never mind guys, that was the whole army of time being killed by one single blink. The third base of Classic goes down while time is establishing his own. But this Oracle, man, finally falls down. With these 3 SCVs killed, I think the kill count was about 18 units killed by a single Oracle. Oh well. Warp Prism's going up. Classic wants to fight back. He wants to send some units out and try and deal some damage, but Time rebuilt his army very quickly. Now he has Vikings to counter both Warp Prisms and Colossi. As you can see, Extended Thermal Lance is done, but as you can see, there's no Colossus out for Classic. It's just a lot of Stalkers, while a pause is being issued by Time for a little bit of a lag issue. Resume the game. Over here, the third base of Classic, while a huge push is incoming. Vikings trying to focus fire on the Warp Prism, while the Spring Stalkers actually try to get around and getting on top of the tanks, but so much damage has already been dealt. And I think this is game over. Time. It's game number 2 of the series. What do these two guys have in store right now? I'm very, very curious. Classic actually going for the Reaper wall. Time is not really the Reaper player among the Reaper players, right? Just mostly starts with Marine. Sure, Hardwire is a longer map, so having a Reaper out is a little bit more value than a Marine if you actually get a lot of scouting with it. But Time is still going to default to his Marine opener, Marine expand, and Time actually patrolling an SCV over here on the left of the map. This is definitely not a scouting SCV, let me tell you that. If it was a scouting SCV, it would be already here or something. Time clearly hiding this SCV for further structures. At least that's my thoughts. Probably going to be a starport again. Just waiting for the factory to be done. Time doesn't really have enough gas, but he's going to have enough minerals to keep up the double Hellion production. Or Widow Mines, if he prefers like that. And again, you can see the proxy starport Classic with the Tala Council trying to get Blink as soon as possible to get the cleanest defense you can possibly get, while of course being very aggressive with the Blink Stalkers to try and reduce the army count of his opponent. Classic is going to see the Reactorate factory, but he does not know yet if it's Widow Mines or Hellions. The defense is pretty much the same. You have to be on the lookout for Medivacs, both on the left side, on the right side, and of course in the middle. It's Hardwire as a very, very big main base. You have to be extra careful around your mineral lines. Time sending out the 4 aliens of Doom. And Blink just being started by Classic. They go inside the Medivac. And it's a reminiscence of game number 1. And this time there's even less for defense, but they're much better placed for Classic. Oh my god, these aliens just absolutely annihilating probes right now. It's going to be 6 steps, which is less than it was in the last game. Time with a little bit of a juke to kill one more probe and keep the Medivac alive, while sacking the last alien in 7 probes killed. It's not as crazy as game number 1, but it's a lot of damage. Classic actually going very aggressive right now with a Warp Prism incoming as well. Most of these units already heading for the next row of Time. There's 1 tank for defense, very early tank actually, even before the bunker. And this starport is going to see things. Alright, the Stalkers, not yet playing Stalkers, trying to get some damage. Or at least some scouting information before Blink is done, but Classic is sending a lot of units out. The Warp Prism is out as well. And it's producing a lot of Stalkers. Let's check. It's only 3 gateways. It's not a 4 gateway kind of push. These Adepts going to tank a lot of damage before these Stalkers come in clutch. Killing the Medivac, it's actually such a huge pick. They do not have Blink yet, but they're getting ready. It's seconds now until they blink into this main. This starport barely survives. The Onslaught, the Classic is sending a time right now, and this time the Protoss player says, I am the aggressor. Enough with this charade. And it's a lot of Stalkers blinking into the main, being shelled by tanks. And honestly, not doing a great job at killing them either. The Warp Prism will barely survive, getting out of the main base of time. But those Blink Stalkers didn't deal remotely enough damage. Oh, I think it's not looking too clean for Classic. Charge is in the making. There's still 1 tank on the high ground. Classic 18 in the natural while the bunker is out. Still lots of units out for time as well. Not really caring about getting a fur base. He's the Terran player, while Classic is getting his fur base. Blink Stalkers trying to get the best possible trade, getting a couple Marines before blinking out of there. Now it's Widowmines being the ready. The Templar Archives being made by Classic. That's one interesting choice. Most often, oh, the bunker goes down actually. That's not the best trade for Classic, forced to blink backwards and juggle with the Warp Prism. But time is getting very aggressive with his own army, killing 3 Stalkers while they were retreating. Ooh. I'm looking very strong right now. Templar Archives being finished, and it's the preferred splash damage source the Classic chose. Instead of Colossi, it's going to be Archons, which are going to be crazy strong before Ghosts come in play. But once Ghosts are out, like, oh, the Warp Prism falls. Classic not looking great. The shield battery is going to be up just in range for a shield battery overcharge. Classic trying to get the tank before it sieges. But time is trying to go around, trying to get in between the natural and the fur base. These Immortals are very sturdy, and so are the Archons. The tank is very off there because it doesn't have a lot of health on it. But these Widowmines are of course a big scare factor. Classic doesn't want his army to be out of shields just immediately. Tanks starting to shell out the Archons. What was that Blink Classic trying to get the tank, but instead losing 3 Stalkers basically for free. Time getting a very strong army over here. The tank goes down at last, but it's 3 Widowmines ready to deal a lot of damage. Time doesn't really have enough right now. That's 3 Immortals in that army, as well as an Archon, and you can see Charge being finished, Storm being started. Classic is looking way better right now after a couple bad moves. It looks like Classic might be able to stay in this game. He's not looking strong, but he has a good worker advantage, having that fur base up much earlier than his opponent. These Archons tanking just insane amounts of damage. The shield batteries are a little bit out of juice, and time is looking like he wants to push forward these Immortals. It's just not going down. Shield battery overcharge being used to keep the units alive, and one of the Immortals finally falls. The second Immortal falls as well. It's about time that time actually gets some key units out of this army, and it's focusing them one by one. All the Immortals are down, all the Archons are down. It's just up to these Stalkers. They might be very bruised, but their shields are up. Shield battery overcharge doing marvelous job at keeping Classic alive. But he loses so many key units. It's looking really like a Pyrrhic victory for the Korean Protoss player. Time, a huge army advantage to just gonna slowly rebuild. You can see the Ghost Academy being out, the Ghost being such a clutch factor in this matchup, dropping down EMPs on the army of Classic and killing units very quickly. But honestly, it's not really looking like that is going to be necessary for time, because right now it just has the better army. And honestly, that is not gonna improve for Classic. It needs the perfect storms and the perfect force fields, and it doesn't even have sentries out right now. Standard Thermal Lance in the making. I'm not sure he has enough time for that. How many storms does he have? It's about to be 4 storms, but they have to be absolutely perfect. You can see the first EMP already denying one storm. One of the other storms doesn't really hit the jackpot. Oh, EMP goes on top of everything. The flanking storm from Classic. Will it be enough? The Extended Thermal Lance not done yet. One Immortal very bruised. The Archon falls immediately after being made. The second Archon on the left trying to get the flank. But all of the remaining units of Classic have fallen down. It's a 3-0 score for time, heading into match point. It's do or die here on Blackburn for the Alpha X Protoss player. Hailing from Korea in its 4 wins in a row. Can he start it off right here, right now? Make some noise for Classic. His opponent in the red instead, from Kaizi Gaming, hailing from China. Well, he has 4 match points and is not really looking stoppable by his opponent. Can he clutch it out with a clean sweep? It is time. What do you want me to say, guys? This is a mad-led series from time. It just doesn't stop. Just the perma-aggression that he's been showing off in this series, and he's not stopping on Blackburn. Blackburn, honestly, widely known as one of the worst possible proxy maps in the game, because the locations for proxies are insanely obvious. It's very difficult not to scout for proxies, because there's not a lot of very good spots for proxies. It's not like there are bad spots, like this spot over here is a great spot, this spot over here is a great spot for proxies, but it's so easily scouted. Time though, playing with the mind of Classic and placing down the bunker in the natural of the Protoss player. A very good answer to this is a very early target with the early Void Ray. Another great answer to this is getting Blink as fast as possible, but you're bound to take losses. And this Nexus over here, it's so tough to keep alive. Of course, without pulling the probes, the bunkers are going up, and time is not really stopping the production. You can see Classic's probe being up. Yo, does he want to recall all of his probes? That can't be, right? Is that really his plan? 3 probes falling down, meanwhile to these SCVs and Marines. Actually losing 4 probes this early in the game is absolutely massive. 7 probes, like, that is not looking good for Classic, guys. Time needs to deal damage, and he's really doing that right now. He has a worker advantage, and Classic has this weird play of a ninja base in the top side of the map. One of the bunkers already getting salvaged, and time just going back home to rebuild and keep on macroing. You can see a starport being made, a factory already making attack HUD with a Cyclone. to hold against any aggressive play. As I was saying, one of the usual responses to this is avoid Ray, and the Cyclone is going to be absolutely great against that. Problem is Classic just doesn't care, does it? There's a base over here, it's just chazzing it out. Let's take a look at the units lost out, because as you can see, like, the amount of effort being placed by time into this was really little. And killing 7 probes out of this, forcing Classic with a very off-putting play with this base over here. Still absolutely massive. Of course it's going to be playing for these soldiers. They need to be mobile. But Classic needs to be very careful with the energy. He's probably going to need 50 energy on this Nexus at all times. He really needs to have recall at the ready to defend this base once time finds out about it. And I don't really think photon cannons or shield batteries can buy enough time for him if he doesn't have recall. These 4 Marines. Classic, you have to kill the Marines. Oh no. Oh no, this is terrible. Alright, yeah, there are 2 soldiers. Like, it's not gonna lose too many probes, really. Like, honestly, losing 2 probes is already 2 probes too much. You shouldn't have lost any probes to this. And it's not like he's in this great spot in which I can lose a couple probes. He really can't. Classic right now moving out. Link Stalkers are good for one thing, and that is biding time in the back. Of course, the command center from time is actually fairly late. Like, he has a very powerful army. Wait. Oh my god, it's a Banshee over here, and nobody paid attention to it. Not even I. 6 more probes holding to a Banshee with a cloak? Oh no. That's straight up disrespectful from time. Absolutely chazzing on Classic, trying to get this golden base, trying to get actually a double base advantage. It's not going to be easy for time to get control of these natural. The tanks are out there, but he needs to leapfrog them way more than this. Time will lose a couple units while trying to establish his natural, and Classic is honestly establishing his fur base. It's not going to be easy for Classic to defend, but if he can, for enough time for this golden base to give the increasing value that golden base do get, it's going to be an interesting game. I'm actually supply blocked right now. This is 4 Stalkers trying to shark around for damage in main base of the Terran player, who's still behind in workers. He's a natural, didn't really come up when it should, honestly. And Classic, if he can mine down these rich mineral fields quick enough, he can also establish a path between his main and the ninja base, which is going to be much faster. Of course, Blink Stalkers do not care about this, they can just blink through it. Killing these rocks is, again, another good thing you can do. Oh, but time! These SCV is going to scout many things. And getting into the main to scout for him, Morphines 4 gateways. Usual explosion of gateways up the third base is happening for Classic. Needs to buy a little bit of time more, and that's what Blink Stalkers are out there for. Templar Archives is done, but oh my god, the Army of Time is so strong right now. What does Classic has? Oh, yeah, yikes. Not looking pretty. These bases going down. Recall is available. But what will you recall? Nothing, says Classic. I'm just going to blink into your main and kill 9 probes just like that. Fighting back is the strategy that Classic decides to go for. Killing 17 SCVs. That is absolutely outstanding damage from the Protoss player. Actually 20. Time fighting Classic in the back. Killing his base. while the whole of the probes were actually moved away from here. This golden base is almost impossible to defend as well, though. In time, he might have lost all of his workers, but right now it's just as an impossible army to deal with for Classic. Like, how do you deal with that? I don't think Classic has enough. He's actually supply blocked right now, and he's losing all of his key units one after the other. Charge is not done yet. These allies are just slowly strolling towards the Marines, and the whole army of Classic goes down. Time with a clean sweep is going to be this Alpha Pro Series winner.